What? Spy, I ain't gonna...
Give me my fucking well-worn Woodsy Widowmaker SMG. Dude, I can call this shit, can't I? Alright, let's do it. We're doing Spy today. Get ready, because people are gonna hate me after this one. You know what? So, something I don't see on here is the disguise kit. And there are a couple things that I want to say about the disguise kit before I actually start talking about the individual items, if that's cool with you guys. So, a very common thread that I see about the Spy is that he is quote-unquote the weakest class in the game. And half of the time, I agree with that, and then half of the time, I disagree with that. He is incredibly squishy, but he's also an insta-kill class. So, it's this weird fine line that the Spy has to tread in order to remain balanced enough to where he's not, like, hideously underpowered, but not also brutally overpowered like the Sniper. Some changes could be made to make this, like, quality of life as playing Spy a little bit better. At least I think, you know, because, I don't know, it's tricky. Very hard for me to call the only class in the game that can insta-kill a fully over heavy. Yeah, that's the point, right? Is he is the insta-kill class. He can circumvent a lot of things that can fuck over the other insta-kill class in the game, right? He can fuck over a vac medic. He can fuck over a battalion's backup. He can shut down any Uber push so long as it isn't stock if he kills the med or his healing patient, right? So all of those are incredibly powerful. But there are a couple of ideas that one of them I've seen implemented that was part of the high GPS balance mod that I actually really like. And then there's another one that's kind of been floating in the back of my brain that I don't know would be a good idea or not. I'm not sure. So what the high GPS balance mod has done, just as like a base mechanic change for the Spy, with his disguise kit, there's a way for you to press a button and then move at the same speed as the Spy disguised as anything, right? Because normally, let's say you're disguised as a heavy, you're gonna move as fast as a heavy, right? So you can't catch up to a potential target. But in the high GPS balance mod, if you hit this button, you can now walk as fast as a Spy and catch up to somebody with any disguise. And I think that's really cool. That's a really interesting tool that the Spy could use to his benefit instead of having to always and only disguise as another Spy or a scout to not fuck over his own movement speed so he can catch up to his own target. That, I think, would be an interesting buff for the Spy. And it's also very much like risk versus reward. It's like, why is that heavy moving as fast as almost a scout? That's suspicious. You know, and if he starts doing the fast walk thing, it's a dead giveaway. But if he does it at the right opportune moment, boom. It makes it so you can effectively disguise as anything and then make Spy that much more dubious, that much more deceiving, that much more, you know, sneaky. I think that would be a really cool change. The high GPS balance mod does that pretty well. Yeah, and it would also unfuck the eternal reward because if you decide to backstab a heavy, oops, I can't move anymore. I'm now walking as fast as a heavy, and either I swing to sacrifice my cloak, my disguise, or redisguise, and then get rid of all my cloak, right? Yeah, that makes the your eternal reward a lot more fun, a lot more usable, I would say. Another change that I had in mind, something that I think I was discussing this before. I don't remember if this is something that someone brought up or if this is something that like popped into my own head. Spy is very squishy all around, and I think something that might be interesting to kind of give him like a slight buff is, you know how he has a damage resistance when he's invisible? I think it's like 20% or something like that whenever he's fully cloaked. Why not give something like that to the Spy when he's disguised? I'm not saying like 20%, but even like 5 or 10%, just so he can take a little bit more spy checking without getting completely fucked by like one pipe or one rocket, right? Because he can like take the pipe and stand there like, what? I'm on your team, dude. And then he can just go back to doing whatever the fuck he was doing, and that'd be alright. Only problem with that is if you combine that resistance with something like the fucking Kunai, then it would just make the Kunai even more borderline busted. So, I don't know. I feel like that would be potentially an interesting change, but in practice might not be so good given the fact that he has this and he has this. Converse Kunai is easily the Spy's best knife, and I fucking hate it. I do not like this thing. Especially when it's combined with the fucking Dead Ringer, and if the Spy is of any nominal skill, he can't fucking die, and I fucking hate it. You know, because if you have, like, listen, if you're playing in like a higher level game, I don't know, competitive or something, or if you're playing, I don't know, where players are largely competent, right? It's not that bad, but if you throw like a fucking 9,000 hour spy or like a 5,000 hour spy into just like your regular normal ass game, he can fucking farm players left and right and never fucking die. And I absolutely fucking hate that. It's a motherfucker to deal with. Like you just come into a game, people are playing casual, and then you have some sweaty boy fucking 5,000 hours on spy and nothing else, just milking people with the fucking kunai, gets one stab, jumps, cloaks, and surfs a rocket out of there, and then rinses and repeats over and over again. It's like the most bitch way to play fucking spy, and I fucking hate it. But it's also the spy's best knife because it gives him, what, I think it's like up to 210 overheal, and it's only, and here's the thing, its only downside, the downside of this item is only really in effect until you get that first backstab, right? You get that first backstab, if you can keep, you know, if you can keep yourself hidden and away to keep your health pool above, like roughly 100, whatever, so you can like tank a rocket or a pipe, then this downside is never like fully realized unless you wait a super long time before you go for another stab. My problem with this item is that once you overcome that first hump of the risk of the initially lower health pool, that risk never shows up again unless you wait a super long time to hit someone else. That's my main problem with it. I feel like, I don't know, and it's like, for me, I hate it almost so much that it's almost up here because of the problem of like, you know, God spies never fucking die. Ugh. I don't know, I feel, but like, if you bump down the maximum health on this thing to anything lower than 210, it just throws it into like the almost useless category because a 185 overhealed spy is the same as though he just got buffed by a medic. So then what's the point? Just use any other knife at that point because you're only walking around with 60 more health. So it's like, not really that worth it. So perhaps, I don't know, I feel like a better idea for this would maybe make the overheal drain faster. So they can't milk out one backstab for such a long time that the spy is once again forced to take that risk again to get that backstab and then to keep chaining them with as he keeps getting more health after each consecutive stab. This thing should not let a spy be over 125 health for as long as it does. So I think the slight tweak to the kunai, making your overheal drain faster, not lasting a full 60 seconds from 210, but like 30, you know, so it still drains twice as slow as normal overheal does, not 4 times as slow, which is crazy. Because as it stands right now, good spies never die with this. And they never die with it because they have the fucking Dead Ringer. The old Dead Ringer was fucking broken. This item, when it got nerfed, absolutely needed it. Because a spy could be using any knife and never die, ever, when using the old Dead Ringer. It was fucking crazy, right? So, right away, I'm not a fan of this type of item where you can feign death, you know, because it fucks over players a lot. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I just killed this guy. Oh, surprise, he's not actually dead. And I just don't think that's a fun mechanic in any video game where it's like, oh yeah, I just got this really good kill. Oh, he's not dead. Fuck, I gotta do it again. And I'm not a fan of that. It needed to be nerfed because before you could tank so much and never die. And you could spam it too, right? There was no penalty for popping it, right? Like how it works now, if you use it, it chews up like what, 50% of your cloak, something like that? Yeah, when you feign death, half your cloak is fucking gone. It didn't used to have that, so you could just use it, put it away, and then use it again. So you can just feign death over and over again without any sort of real strong penalty. Now it has that, good, thank God. Yeah, old DR spam sucked dick. It's horrible. Because you would kill the guy, you'd kill the same guy 6 times. You shouldn't be able to do that. But the way they have it now, it's still good. It pairs the best, I find, with the kunai because, you know, you get the health, you feign the death, you lose a lower amount of that overheal because it reduces the first hit by like 70% and then scales down back to 20% as like an exponential decay. Sorry, 75%, yeah. 75% damage resistance on the first hit that pops the Dead Ringer, and then it decays from 65 back down to 20% while he's invisible. So if you pair it with the kunai, you lose a lower amount of that overheal when you pop the Dead Ringer, so you can just milk the kunai more. It's still good with the kunai, but any other knife, it's markedly lackluster, right? This thing is still good with items that earn cloak back for you or make it so you have a longer cloak duration, like the fucking Big Earner and the L'Étranger. I'm gonna say it wrong, and are you saying L'Étranger wrong? The Ambassador next is an interesting weapon. I'm not gonna do the Amby just yet. I will do the L'Étranger. I feel like L'Étranger is almost the Spy's next best item right now, because why wouldn't you use this thing? Why would you not get 40% extra cloak duration and cloak back on hit at the sacrifice of a little bit of damage from your Revolver? This thing is so fucking good. If you use it with just normal Invis watch, it's easily the Spy's best primer. And you compare it with the Dead Ringer, you compare it with the fucking Cloak and Dagger, and juice out more fucking cloak. Because normally you're playing stock Spy, cloak is an issue. You can't move around that much while cloaked. You gotta worry about managing your cloak and getting ammo to replenish it and whatnot. You have to attack faster. But with the L'Étranger, it allows you to play slower and pick your fights more meticulously, so you can actually have a better chance, like you have a much more well-predicted, thought-out plan to land a backstab instead of going, oh fuck, I'm out of cloak now, guess I'll go for it. This lets you circumvent that a lot more often. And whenever I play Spy, I pretty much always and only ever use this. Because it's like, why not have 40% longer cloak with any fucking Spy watch? It's insanely good. And even then, like, the reduced damage on this thing, and you get cloak back on hit too, right? The reduced damage on this doesn't make all that much when you're actually using it, right? Like, let's say you walk up to a fucking sniper who's standing still, 3 shots, he's fucking dead. You got some pyro, brainlessly holding down mouse one at you, you can just still take him down with this. If he's at lower health, but if you get caught out in an extended fight and you're having to use your Revolver, then yeah, you get fucked. Maybe nerf the damage on this thing a little bit more, 30% maybe 35. So it's doing like, the base damage on this thing is 48, or 48 for stock, and then 32 for the L'Étranger at base damage. Maybe make it do like 28. I kind of like that, maybe. I would still use it though, because it's still really good. I don't care that I'm doing 20 damage per shot. I can stay cloaked forever, and if I'm desperate, fuck it, I'll just pop someone with a fucking toothpick. Definitely one of Spy's best items right now is the L'Étranger, hands down. It's very good. You got 2 ways to play. You don't gotta play at all, you just get more cloak, you just gotta have it in your fucking pocket. And then 2, you shoot someone and you get a little more cloak back. Yeah, I'm gonna talk, because this item, frankly, is just, it's looking at me funny. I really hate this item right now. Stored crit mechanics in TF2 have to be very delicately balanced to have some kind of a significant downside, to have them just, again, on demand. This item has no real downsides for its crit mechanic, aside from a 15% damage penalty. It's so fucking stupid. Because, and before, you had to just land backstabs. The only way you could get crits with this thing is when you get a backstab, but now you can get it by landing backstabs and sapping buildings. So all you have to do is, like, sap one end of a teleporter and you get a stored crit. It's so piss easy to get crits now, and you can store up to a maximum of 6 in one clip. So you're juicing out 606 damage. Oh, it's a bit broken. And also, no damage fall off or spread on this shit. So you can spam 102s from across the map and not even have to get a headshot to do the crit like the old Ambassador. Oh, I fucking hate this thing. At least before, when you were only getting crits from backstabs, that janky mechanic, or not janky, but this absolutely awful mechanic was like not as frequently realized. It didn't manifest as often. Put it back. If you're not gonna change the fucking mechanic on this thing, put it back so you can only get crits from backstabs. Please. Don't make it count for buildings. Okay, if you're gonna do it for buildings, only sentries. Not random dispensers or half ends of teleporters scattered around the map by like one of the 55 fresh installs you've come across that day. No. The Diamondback would be something that's like a good rework thing. A fun idea would be to like make the Diamondback like a quick draw weapon, where you pull it out and you can shoot faster, but it does less damage. Have a faster deploy speed, a faster firing speed, but give it like a 20% damage penalty. It's like fuck, right? And then you that's it. That might be something interesting. But then again, that would be maybe not so good because, you come across someone who's just standing still, whip it out, ba, and they're dead. A little too fast. Then again, give it like just 3 shots. Oh, so it's like if like you're oh, it's like I'm envisioning like a fucking like a Wild West cowboy movie where they fucking pull out their 6-shooter and they're fucking, you know, throwing down the hammer on the back and firing it that way, right? It's like 1, 2, 3, like have it fucking do that shit, like 3 shots, like bam, bam, bam. That, ooh, that might be cool. Something needs to be done with the fucking Diamondback to where it's not as hideously broken and a fucking ass to play against as it is right now. I fucking hate this thing. It needs to be reworked in some capacity. I don't know how, but do it. Do it. Do the Enforcer next. Oh, God, that's. I mean, what's there to say about the Enforcer? It's the Spy's worst item. It's a slower firing speed for a dumb gimmick that rarely comes into play. It's so hideously situational, and even though you can pierce enemies' resistances with this thing, the slower firing speed doesn't really make up for it, so you're still doing all around less damage with it. It's fucking dumb. It's fucking dumb. I hate this thing. And it doesn't pierce all resistances. You heard it here, folks. Enforcer doesn't pierce all resistances. Fun. Only good against vac medics. If you're gonna get that close to a vac medic using a revolver, just stab him. That's a faster way to deal with a vaccinator medic, is just backstab his ass. Instead of like, okay, he's using the vac, I'm gonna use his gun now. Oh, first shot did more damage. Oh, slower firing speed, back to normal damage. Guess I'll die now. It's so fucking bad. I don't know what they could do to this thing to make it better. It just has such a useless mechanic with it now that it needs something completely different to make it useful again. And I don't know what you could do to make it useful. It definitely needs some kind of a total rework for it to be a usable item. I'm just not sure what you could do with it. So why is it not in the bottom broken category? I guess it is broken considering that it doesn't pierce all resistances. So it's buggy and it's a dog shit item. So yeah, you're right. Should be in the broken category. Final thoughts on this thing, rework it, make it do something different. Final thoughts on this thing, rework it, make it do something different. This is overpowered, this is useless, make them both do something different. That's it, we're moving on. People really want me to talk about the red tape recorder. Why do people want to talk about this thing? The red tape recorder isn't as bad as people make it out to be. It's something that can instantly disable any building so your team can push in and kill it. Does it still instantly de-level something down to a level 2? It doesn't do that anymore? Okay, so now it's lower. I thought it did. It's D tier. It's still not as bad as people make it out to be, because being able to instantly disable a level 3 so other people can attack it is still a fairly useful thing. But when you're doing that, why not just use the Sapper and have it remove health from it? So it's like, this thing is always infinitely more useful because your team has to follow up on dealing less damage to the sentry gun, and it fucks the engineer over more quickly than having to wait for it to actually de-level and then fuck him over that way. But as soon as the fucking thing is gone, then the building is already back at full health at whatever level it's at, and it can just start firing again. It can be a little bit annoying against, you know, like if you're playing engineer, you're dealing with a guy who's only using the red tape recorder. Yeah, it's annoying, but it's not nearly as effective as just the regular Sapper. A level 2 sentry is 180 health. Level 3 sentry is 216. The amount of time it takes for it to de-level from a level 3 down to a level 2 is only, what is that, 36 health? So it loses 36 health, and compared to the regular Sapper, it makes it lose 36 health faster. And by the time it gets down to a level fucking 2, or by the time it gets down to a level 1, that's 130 effective health. By the time it takes that long, you've already almost removed the entire health pool of the regular sentry gun. So, yeah, why would I ever use the fucking red tape recorder? I would use a stock Sapper all the time. It removes more effective health from the sentry gun that way. Faster. Red tape recorder sucks. Its only upside is that he can disable a building, that's it. Moving on. Stock Sapper. That's the only other Sapper in the game, and it's just good. What else is there to say about the stock Sapper? You're pretty much always and only ever going to use that because the red tape recorder sucks dick. What else is there to say about the Sapper? That's it. you get the lovely, freshly showered version of myself today, with my lovely slicked back hair and my lovely receding hairline bald spot, because time nor age stop for no man, and I am of no exception. Today's video isn't really sponsored in any sort of way. This is more or less of a structured thank you to all of the really talented artists that make some of the visual assets for my videos possible. Normally, I do all of my own editing. I do all of my own artwork. I do all of my own animations. I do everything on my own. That's just how I like to do it. I like my hands in everything. I like everything to be perfectly tailored the way it needs to be. But whenever I need something meticulously drawn by hand or worked on in Source Filmmaker, I pretty much always have to reach out to somebody else, because those are two things I don't have the time or patience to learn. Also, of course, I have my friend who's editing these tier lists for me, so again, thank you to him. So I want to thank a few of these guys who have pretty much really just enhanced a lot of my videos as of late. The first guy I want to thank is a good friend of mine by the name of Nightingale. He actually reached out to me not too long ago and said, "Hey, I'll draw you some free shit if you plug my Twitter." And I'm like, yeah, sure. You've drawn some stuff for me before in the past, and some of it's worked its way into a couple of my videos, so I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? It seems fair. So he drew me this, came out good, cute shit, and here's his Twitter. Go check his ass out. He does the anime shit. You know, I like the anime shit. He does the anime shit. We operate on a very similar wavelength. Second guy I want to mention is a lovely individual by the name of JauntyWeb, or JauntyWeb, or however the fuck he goes by his Twitter handle at this point, because I always manage to fucking screw it up. He is the talent behind all of the Source Filmmaker assets that have been in my videos as of late, including my thumbnails. He's incredibly good at what he does. For example, if you recall the intro to my Dragon's Fury video where I meticulously remade the intro to Kobayashi's Maid Dragon, he did all of the pyros for that, because I can't do that shit. He's the one that made that intro look really good. He did the heavy lifting on that one, so thank you so much for making that possible. The third guy I want to thank and give the utmost thanks to for also being incredibly patient with me is another very talented artist by the name of Flary, or McFlary on Twitter. He is the incredibly gifted and skilled individual behind my YouTube icon, the one I've been using for a very, very long time. And I've seen his skill just exponentially explode over the past couple of years or so. He's just insanely good at what he does. And I reached out to him and said, hey man, I think it's time for an update. So we did an update on the icon, and man, that shit came out really fucking good. He also does the anime titty. I like the anime titty. He likes the anime titty. We operate on similar wavelengths there. You know, a little more risque, a little more, you know, it's hot to the touch. So if you have a weak constitution to the titty, or some lewd behavior, might want to avoid this guy. You know, minors beware, that whole sort of thing. But you know, nothing bad, nothing terrible, but you know, just really, really good shit. So if you like any of the work from any of these three lovely individuals, highly recommend that you go drop them a follow on Twitter. They deserve it more than me, probably, because I'm just talking to you at a fucking webcam. And don't think I forgot that I needed to shill myself to you guys as well. If you like what you see, leave a comment, leave a like, do all of the other stuff that the YouTube algorithm likes when it comes to promoting videos. And if you want to throw a few bucks my way, then head on over to Patreon. Don't really have super interesting tiers, more or less there, if you guys just want to like throw a $5 or a $10 at me. $5 gets you access to all of the unedited VODs for these videos, as well as other scrapped content as it comes that way. And $10 gets you inside my Discord, plus the content. So yeah, that's about it. Not much else, nothing special. I'm not gonna fucking bend over backwards and, you know, dangle my balls in front of a camera for anybody. Just get this fucking ball rolling back down the fucking hill. Don't even know how to close this out. Just this, like, the 25th time I've recorded this, cause fuck, words cannot come out of my mouth. Let's move on. Let's see. I don't know. Let's get, yeah. Fucking the vanilla watch is good. It's your best option pretty much almost and always all the time. Just why would you ever not use it? I mean, you can use the Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger is fun. Cloak and Dagger is basically training wheels for a new spy player. I pretty much only ever see the Cloak and Dagger being used by fresh spies because they want to be able to take their time, like, okay, do I attack now? Okay, no, not yet. Do I attack now? Okay, no, not yet. They're just camping in one spot, waiting for that opportune moment. They're the fucking spider in the web, waiting for the guy to come across his path. It's like, now is the time. And they fucking uncloak and they fucking lift their fucking legs up and their pincers come out and they fucking get one guy and then they fucking die because they're fresh at the game and didn't pay attention to what could be coming after the guy they're going after. I mean, it's still good. Like, if you pair this thing with the fucking L'Étranger, it's still good. And the fact that they changed it so you can pick up ammo when you're not cloaked to regen your cloak, oh, it was a really good change for this thing, because you used to not be able to do that. But this, now, being able to remain infinitely cloaked and you can pick up ammo kits with it, oh man. It's a really, actually, you know what? I'm gonna bump it to A, it's good. It's not worth, it's like bottom of A tier, but it's still really good, because you can still play very effectively with this thing. You have to play a little bit slower, but usually playing slower as Spy often works in your favor, because you can really pick that opportune time to go in and attack somebody. Cloak and Dagger is very good. I like the changes they made to it, because it doesn't absolutely lock you down into one area, right? The old Cloak and Dagger, you had to just cloak, you had to get to your spot, then you had to sit and you had to wait, right? You had to wait to have enough cloak before you could move again. But now you can go to an ammo pack, you know, briefly decloak, risk revealing yourself, get that ammo pack, and then recloak again, and then you're good, right? But you still lose, you have faster cloak drain when you're moving. So I think it's in a great spot. Big Earner is heavily slept on. I saw someone say this earlier. The Big Earner is heavily slept on. Big Earner, I would say, I don't know, man. I would say the Big Earner is Spy's second best knife. This item is probably one of the most well-balanced items in the game in terms of an unlock. One of the most well-balanced unlocks in the game. It makes the Spy all around weaker, but harder to hit after he gets a backstab. So he has to take that risk of being found out to get that backstab. He can either choose to continue to chain stab or bail the fuck out. So squishier Spy for faster movement speed, easily one of the best and most well-balanced items in the game. In my opinion, you can agree or not, up to you, that's just me. It make the Spy better at being a glass cannon. Yes, it does. Slightly glassier, slightly more cannony. Not really quite more cannon, just a faster cannon. You just grease the wheels on the cannon. Stock knife. You know what? Hate me or love me, I'm gonna say, like stock Spy is just around here. You have these other unlocks that just make playing Spy that much better. You know, more quality of life options. You either have more cloak, you move faster so you can get out of a backstab more quickly, you can get more health on backstab. But all of Spy's stock items are very good. Stock knife is just your classic bread and butter. You can't go wrong when you're using it. Yeah, you're right, Aimbot. Stock is just really consistent on Spy. You can never go wrong with just playing vanilla Spy, but you have all these other really good unlocks that just, you know, make it better in some, make you better in some ways, but weaker in others. Stock knife is just, it's just good because the mechanic is what it is. That's it. Stock's totally fine. One complaint that I guess people could make is that backstab hitboxes are incredibly janky, and I kind of agree with that, but that's just how, you know, hitboxes work in TF2, and there's no real way to... I don't even know what would happen if they tried to fix it. Is there a way to fix it? I don't know if there is a way to fix janky backstab hitboxes. It's like a 120 degree kind of a thing, and it's also different depending on which class you're attacking, because different hitbox sizes. So I don't like, and people complain about it a lot. I find myself complaining about janky backstab hitboxes a lot too. But at the end of the day, it's just not that much of an issue. It's just a problem with source and how the game was designed, and I think it's fine, really. Let's do, I mean, and again, stock Revolver is just, you can't go wrong with stock Revolver, man. A lot of people have said this. A lot of newer Spy players never rely on their Revolver. It does a lot more damage than you think it does, right? Roughly 50 damage per shot at, you know, base damage, and then 60 at max ramp up with a decent firing speed. The bullet spread does fuck you over a lot, but it's really fucking good, and more people should try relying on their just normal stock Revolver, or just whatever Revolver they're using. It's good. It does a lot of like, one of my favorite things to do is I like going on a high tower server and I just run around as Spy using the fucking stock Revolver. I fucking demolish people. You can 3-shot a scout at mid-range. Oh, it's so good. And what scout's running around at more than his fucking... What scout is running around at full health in any active fight, right? Or any other class, right? You just chip in 40 or more at people who are like a good distance away from you. It's nutty. Only problem is that random bullet spread on this thing is ass. But it's the nature of the beast with it. If you get good with your Revolver as Spy and you're not overly reliant on your knife, congratulations, you've mastered the class. That's about it. You have your movement, you have cloak management, you have understanding of hitboxes, but once you master using your gun with your knife, you're done. You've peaked as the Spy player. Because you're juicing out all the maximum potential you can have. And people really underutilize their revolvers for damage. A lot of people, like myself, usually use their Revolver as a utility and kind of forget that I have it. but use it for damage, man. It's good shit. If I remember that I have a revolver, I love just suddenly being able to fuck over somebody by pulling it out and two-shotting him, right? Because, like, you get a cocky pirate who's just like, oh, I'm gonna get this fucking spy with my fucking... I've set him on fire. Oh, it's my extinguisher. I can get this guy easy. Nope. Pop him. I love doing that shit. Let's see. Let's do the fucking... I don't know. I have mixed opinions on this thing. So, yeah, it's a get-out-of-jail-free card. It's a get-out-of-jail-free card when you get set on fire, but it's a problem when you're not actively engaging the pyro, because let's say you're going for a backstab on somebody, and you have this knife out, and the pyro spots you, and right when you're about to land the backstab, one flame particle hits you, and then your knife is gone. I don't like that. It sucks. Like, if you know that you're actively engaging a pyro and you're like, fuck, I need to get out, then you can change to the fucking Spycicle, extinguish yourself and survive. But if you're actively trying to engage any other enemy and aren't trying to pay attention to the pyro, but you know he's there and you know he's gonna set you on fire, but he's not your target and you're trying to backstab somebody, he's gonna fuck you. You can't attack now. I really, really hate that about this thing. Because the mechanic is interesting, but you get fucked over by it more often than you're helped by it. Because its usefulness is largely not in your control, because all it takes is one flame particle from someone else, and you know how janky those can be sometimes, to where you just suddenly can't use your main mechanic anymore. Why? Why ever really use this thing? If you need your get-out-of-jail-free card, use the Dead Ringer with any other knife that's infinitely better. I'm gonna put it down here, actually. I mean, it still functions as your normal knife. It doesn't even have the silent backstab anymore, does it? Yeah, they removed it, that's right. I remembered. Memory like a fucking elephant. Yeah, they removed it, so even that upside isn't there anymore. Your fucking knife disappears, it's like, oh! Where's that fucking gif of Shaq, where he licks the fucking hot wing and he just goes, it's like that's what happens to you. Your knife suddenly fucking disappears. It's like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. I can't think of an elegant way to like keep the mechanic the same. I don't know what you could do. I don't know, man. I don't like the way it works now because of how it fucks you out of getting a backstab if you have it out. I don't like it. It sucks, but it's fine, right? The fact you cannot be attacked by a pyro without having to use your fucking Dead Ringer or something means like, hey, now your knife is gone. You know, it needs that kind of a downside, even though the downside fucking sucks dick. And I just don't like the mechanic, but it needs it in order for it to remain the same. And that's why I think it could use some kind of a rework, so it's not this weird, dumb, anti-pyro thing. I don't know. Again, this is another candidate for a potential full rework. I'm not sure. It needs some kind of a change. Again, don't know what. Another candidate for not super good is the Your Eternal Reward. I like that they buffed it, but I also hate that you have to sacrifice your entire cloak meter to disguise once. You still have the silent backstabs, and I've seen people do some crazy shit with the Your Eternal Reward. Like, I still, every now and again, once in a rare fucking blue moon, I see a guy, like, just suddenly disappear. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And then I see someone else fucking disappear. I'm like, what the fuck happened? Like, some guy is fucking eating my team alive, and no one's noticing that a fucking guy is melting through them with a fucking Your Eternal Reward. But the problem with this, and why I don't like it, is it fucks with your movement speed. I really don't like that it fucks with your movement speed. Because as soon as you as soon as you stab something that isn't another spy or a scout, you're instantly slowed down. And in order to circumvent that and to get back to a different disguise that lets you move faster, you have to redisguise as a fucking scout or a spy, or sacrifice your disguise so you can move faster to catch up to your next target. So it's really only super effective if you're kind of in like a tight group of players where you can keep chain stabbing people, right? Or if you manage to catch out one guy who's by himself and no one else is really around, you can pop him. But then it's like, okay, there's like a straggling heavy, and then there's a straggling soldier, and then you can pop him for the disguise, but then you're just moving slower. It's like, that I can't get to the rest of the people that I want to hit. I don't know. I just don't like how it fucks with your movement speed that much. I prefer the consistency of any other knife and then being able to choose when you want to move slower, rather than having to rely on whatever target's in front of you to be effective. 33% cloak drain? Are you for real? I didn't even know that. You can tell how little I use this item. 33% cloak drain. What the fuck? Okay, yeah, that's even worse. Jesus Christ. Yeah, why would you ever use this thing? That's actually pretty bad. I didn't know that. I'm gonna bump it down. I still think the Spycicle's worse because you still have an on-demand thing that isn't fucked over if a pyro is present, but reorganize this bit. Yeah, red tape's down here. Red tape's at bottom of D tier. Yeah, your eternal reward is just... I still consider it a little bit better than the fucking Spycicle, again, because you're not fucked out of your knife if a pyro drops one fucking flame particle on you or, like, snipes you with a fucking scorch shot. But this thing, I still don't like it, because for the reasons I described, that apparently you shoot through your cloak 33% faster. Oh, you can offset a little bit with this thing, but why do that and then just use a regular knife and cloak on demand? Having all of those downsides just to have a silent backstab and to instantly acquire the disguise of the person you killed don't really feel like it's worth it. Spycicle has a use. Your eternal reward proactively makes any loadout you run worse. I still disagree because the fucking faster cloak drain and the fact that you can't select what speed you're moving unless you very meticulously pick your target, I still think this can fuck you over heavily. I still think this is worse because this thing fucks you over way more than it helps you. Still will stand by that. Easy. Okay, Amby. Well, here's the thing. The Ambassador's still good, but everyone's still really angry that it got nerfed. And to me, I think it needed the nerf. But this thing needed the nerf way more than this thing did. Why did they buff this thing and then nerf this thing? They should have nerfed this thing and then left it the same. That would have been a less upsetting change than what they did by buffing the fuck out of this thing and then nerfing the shit out of this thing. This thing is still, don't get me wrong, really fucking good. People really, yeah, you're right. People fucking, this thing is really underrated and people underestimate it. It's like, oh, I can't get my crits, I can't get my 102 crits from across the map anymore, so I can't use the Ambassador anymore. It's not, I can't use it no more. But I think people fail to realize that the range in which you can get the 102 damage crit is a lot bigger than you might think. You can still chew through people with this thing. And if you're trained well enough to land those fucking headshots where it matters at close range, then yeah, this thing is still good. When I had a problem with the Ambassador, the old Ambassador, and the reason why I fucking hated it, is because all a spy would need to do was just hang out at like the same range as a sniper, and then just do fucking boop, 102, 102, 102, 102, and then it's like, fuck, where am I getting credit from? All I have to do is fucking, oh, I'm gonna cloak now, you can't see where I shot you from, I'm gonna reposition, and then do it again. I fucking hated that about the old Ambassador. At least with this, the current one, you can't do that bullshit anymore. Because think about it this way, you can get across the map, hit scan, headshots, on a class that can immediately cloak and get away. Or disguise and hide himself and then reposition and then do it again. Sniper does more damage, insta-kills 5 out of 9 classes in the game, but at least when he shoots you, shit, now I know where he is. Unlike the spy who can just go invisible and it's like, well, guess I won't find him right now. And they have to wait for him to do it again and then hopefully catch him and then kill him. That's why I hated the old Amby. I remember seeing a lot of older videos, people would use like FOV scripts to like, they would hit a button and it would change their FOV so they can get better headshots from a distance. That was fucking stupid. Like, oh my God, like old comp spies would do that all the fucking time and I hated that crap. So fucking strong. It needed the nerf that it got and it's in a perfectly acceptable state. It's still perfectly useful. You can still get good with it, still get good headshots with it, still get your targets down, you know, but you should not be able to do across the map headshots with this thing. And so, appropriately, they changed it to the way it works now. Did it make Spy weaker in competitive games? Yeah, I guess, and I guess that's why people are pretty upset about it. But aside from that, it's fine. In any other setting, it's still really good. But I still consider it worse than any of these Revolver options. Like, stock is just so good. Latron J gives you so much cloak. Why bother training yourself on getting headshots when you can get crits for free and then not have to worry about placing them in someone's head? Why would I ever use this when this exists? Ever. You want me to respect you a whole lot more as a spy player? Get good with this. You want me to fucking hate your guts? And, you know, fucking gut you and hang you out to dry in the sun, turn you into some fucking beef jerky? Use this, and I will fucking put you on my shit list. If you tell me in public that you use the fucking Diamondback, I will hurt you, physically. I will grab you by your fucking ankles and I'll twirl you around like a fucking baton, and then chuck you. What kind of person that says the Diamondback is balanced and skilled-based? Someone who needs a lobotomy. But the Ambassador's still good, and I agree, I think it's in a good spot. I have no problems with this weapon anymore, unlike how I used to. But people will still complain about it because, oh, I can't insta-kill people from across the map no more. That was it. That's the spy tier list. We're done. Yeah, I covered it fast because there's not a lot of spy items, and like a majority of spy's items are like his stock. A stock watch, sapper, knife, revolver. That's 4 out of the total amount. Everyone knows this thing fucking sucks dick. Everyone knows this thing's mediocre. Still decent, borderline broken, ass. And then just good and good and good. It's like, what else is there to say about spy?